Yeah, look, I was told this, things like not conceding are a threat to democracy and contesting the election. Right. It is mathematically impossible for Bob Casey to win this unless the remaining votes break like 3 or 4 to 1 in his favor. It has been clear that he has no path to victory for multiple days now, even before the AP called it. But they're in there fighting as hard as they possibly can to try to steal back this seat.
Yep. Let me get your take, Tricia. One major thing, and that is a requirement of no ID. Isn't that interesting?
Maria, I mean, you could go on for hours about how ironic that is, but like the important takeaway from this is Donald Trump is the most popular Republican ever. There is no Republican that could come anywhere near close to winning a popular vote, yet winning it by over 2% and putting together this urban-rural coalition. And so for John Thune or John Cornyn to be considered for a leadership position in the Senate just shows how disconnected congressional Republicans are from the voters and from reality. We were told all along that Republicans, that Trump has been taking down and a weight around the neck of all the other Republicans up and down the ticket, where in reality he dramatically outperforms them, and the ones that run close to him do much better than everyone else. I think we've got a huge battle brewing on Wednesday. We need to be calling our senators, asking for an open vote, not a secret ballot, and calling your senators and asking them who they support and talk about it publicly.
Well, we put a spotlight on it yesterday, that's for sure.
Yeah.
We invited John Thune and John Cornyn on the show. And we invited, by the way, them both on this program as well. So far, they have declined. So Rick Scott came on with me yesterday. They don't want David McCormick to be able to voice his support for Rick Scott. They're going to wait a couple days before actually Bob Casey concedes. He will not concede, even though AP called the race, Mike.
Yeah, look, I think this is because Chuck Schumer and the Democrats at large, they play for keeps.
Right.
You hear these calls for unity. There's only unity and bipartisanship when Republicans win. When Democrats win, its elections have consequences. And I think there is a lot Republicans can learn from Chuck Schumer. Since after the 2020 election, Chuck Schumer has been playing for keeps. They've been fighting with fire. Kamala Harris cast how many tie-breaking votes when the Senate was 50-50. This is not the time to be cordial. You have a mandate. It is time to push through that mandate any way, shape, and form you can. Otherwise, the voters are going to give up on you. And you can see from this last election that the voters do not trust the Republicans in the Senate or the Republicans in the House the way they trust Donald Trump. And so if they want to gain that trust and keep these majorities, they need to deliver on this agenda.
Like, for example, there are certain things that Trump can do without Congress, right? There are certain. We appreciate you joining us. Mike, I want to kick things off with you. I'm glad you heard my shout out the other day on Palantir. Wow, what a call that was. You said buy Palantir, stock was on fire.
Yeah, up 50% over the last couple of weeks with some unbelievable earnings. Like that's a once-in-a-lifetime type company. It's very expensive. I think it's going to be many multiples of this a few years from now. It may make a round trip back to 30, but I'm watching it closely. If it sells off, I'm going to buy as much as I possibly can.
Well, obviously, the earnings really was a wake-up call to those who did not know that story, and you told us that story a long time ago. But let me get your take on the broader averages. We are at the highs of the morning right now. Futures indicating a gain of 200 points on the Dow Industrials. The bond market is closed today for Veterans Day. We've got the Trump trade very much in place this morning. Stocks are higher. Bitcoin is higher. Crypto is going strong right now, hitting $82,000. The Wall Street Journal writes a piece this morning as the markets continue to rally on President Trump's election victory. And the Journal writes, the crypto world is preparing for a renaissance under Trump. Bernie Moreno was celebrating Tuesday night at a banquet center in the Cleveland suburbs when he got a call from Brian Armstrong and a handful of other crypto executives. Take a look at crypto this morning. It is on fire. And, of course, we know, Mike, that President Trump has been among the most favorable officials out there when it comes to crypto. Certainly, he was very present at lots of crypto conferences and talking about crypto on the campaign trail. How do you think the crypto backdrop changes?
Well, look, it changes dramatically. This is extremely bullish for the cryptocurrency world to have a Trump administration, which is a 180 from his previous stance the last time he was president. I think, the national debt going from 27 trillion to 36 trillion, adding another $1 trillion every 100 days has something to do with that. But it's also about freedom. It's about having control of your future and not having your purchasing power absolutely decimated by reckless government spending. And so now you're going to have an SEC and a government that's going to put a regulatory framework around cryptocurrency. And that is important because it gives certainty and it can give safety. So if you don't want to just buy an ETF and you want to own cryptocurrency directly and you're dealing with a wallet, these are complicated and a lot of fraud still exists, unfortunately, in this space where people get money stolen from them. You've also had the invention of ETFs, which make it much easier for investors to buy both Bitcoin and Ethereum. I am a huge crypto bull, and the historical trend is that once you break your previous cycle high, you typically triple and make a new high within 18 to 24 months. That would put us up near 200,000 somewhere by the end of next year. I don't see why that's unachievable. Hopefully government spending slows down, but now the bull run is on, and Bitcoin just happens to be one of these momentum FOMO-based trades, and there's a finite amount that's only going to be created, unlike the US dollar. So it's on.
Yeah, it's on, all right. And certainly it's on around the Trump victory. But, we're talking a lot about election headlines right now, Ryan. What about when...
Every time there's been a massive tax cut, revenues increased, right? You're taking a smaller piece of a bigger pie. And just watch out for these budget watchdogs, especially the ones that are nonpartisan, because the Republican plans always seem to be forecasted to cost way more than they actually do, and the Democrats cost way less. And a great way to pay for these tax cuts is to go back to pre-COVID spending levels and reduce government waste. A whole government approach to smaller government.
Yeah, it's a great point. And exactly what you said is what President-elect Trump is promising. Cheryl, I just can't stop thinking about how much money Kamala... Michael Lee?
I told you a week ago Trump was going to win popular vote by 2 to 4 points. Half a dozen times before that, too. People looked at me like I had 4 heads. You could still look at me like I had 4 heads, but I was right.
There you go. Boom, Cheryl.